to Getting Your Money's Worth, the show that focuses on value. I'm Judith West, and our guest today is Dr. Mark Lachs, gerontologist, physician, that's kind of a duplication of words, and co-director of Cornell Center for Aging.
Correct.
And author of Treat Me, Not My Age. Okay, thanks for being on the show. Boy, this is a hot topic, so let's get right to it. You talk in your book about medical ageism. What is medical ageism?
Judith, it's when people get undertreated or overtreated because of a number, because of their age.
Because of their age.
Right, and as we all have seen, we all know two 70-year-olds, one who's going to play doubles tennis and the other who can barely get out of bed. And the idea of rationing healthcare on the basis of a number as opposed to someone's functional ability is crazy.
Yeah. Well, it's age discrimination, isn't it?
It is one of the most pernicious forms of age discrimination. There have been a number of studies, for example, that show older women with breast cancer, even when they're well, tend to be offered less aggressive treatment for breast cancer, even when they can tolerate it, simply because they're old.
Right. Well, and you are a mission. You're on a mission. You're a poster doctor to eradicate some of that kind of behavior on the part of doctors.
Yeah,
How is it that you're different from all the others, a lot of the others? What is it, this specialty that's called gerontology?
Well, I'm a geriatrician, like a pediatrician, who cares for children. I care for older adults.
So you're on this end of the age spectrum,
right,
just like the pediatricians on the beginning of the age spectrum.
Right. I did a residency in internal medicine, and then instead of doing cardiology or gastroenterology, I spent additional training in geriatric medicine. And the specialty of geriatric medicine thinks about things that other medical specialties don't. We think about, for example, mood, vision, mobility,
hearing,
and quality of life as it relates to your home, to some degree your finances, since they have a dramatic impact on quality of life, given what many studies show. We're interested in the big picture, is what I would say.
You know, Dr. Lachs, it seems to me that as much as you're interested on your end of quality of life for, what do you call people that are older? I don't want to use senior citizens. What do you call them in your practice?
I call them older adults.
Older adults, okay. I don't want to use mature because there's still some that aren't. But anyway, as you think about their quality of life and about the medical issues that may be germane to that age group, folks in that age group don't think about that so much for themselves. They appear almost cowed or afraid. They come from a generation where you don't speak up for yourself in a doctor's office. You don't want to make the doctors mad or things like that. How do you get people to understand that they have a right to stand up for themselves without regard to their age?
Well, Judith, you've touched on something that I call sort of inappropriate reverence for physicians that is very common among older people, not so much among their children who are used to getting service. And my goodness, it's your health care, not some part that your car needs. Yeah. And you need to speak up with your physician and explain what your problems are. Many patients are on their best behavior when they see me. It really is important that you plan ahead, that you articulate your medical problems. I mean, you wouldn't go to your hairdresser, your accountant, your lawyer without some idea about what you wanted to happen in the transaction. And one way you can do that is to prepare for the visit, and in Treat Me, Not My Age, I do that.
Exactly. And or if you have to, take someone along with you that can listen carefully and, you know, and ask questions.
I think that's right, although it's a double-edged sword, Judith. Often when an adult child, for example, comes to the medical encounter, we call that a triadic encounter.
Triadic encounter.
Yeah, sometimes the physician will direct the questions and the information at the younger person, and the older person simply becomes an object in the room, and often I find myself having to redirect my gaze and my comments to the patient. So we have to be careful.
I mean, I just went through this. I had a very unhappy experience. I have a fracture, a small pelvic fracture, and I was at a hospital, a big teaching hospital in New York City. My husband was there, and all of a sudden I look up, and the orthopedist, who was a young fellow, is talking to my husband. You know, I'm a businesswoman. I'm pretty smart. I'm pretty nimble. I've run a couple of good businesses in my life. I said, listen, I have a fracture in my hip. There's not a damn thing wrong with my brain.
Well, good for you. I mean, you've just identified a form of age discrimination. The assumption that someone who's a little bit older has hearing impairment, has cognitive impairment, has functional disability. The fact of the matter is that the vast majority of older people, despite the way they're portrayed on television and in the media, have complete cognitive ability, have functional independence, and good for you for speaking up.
Let's talk about this. Aside from treating the physical things, the vision, the hearing, you know, whatever, most folks that as they age, and even their families as they age, begin to write off people's cognitive abilities as they get older. Their opinion is not as worthwhile anymore. They don't remember as well, maybe. What do you have to say about the mental abilities? Is every time you forget something, or every time you may make a mistake and get confused, is that the beginnings of dementia?
Absolutely not. There is a certain amount of memory loss that comes with normal aging. We call that physiologic memory loss. And I now and then call one of my children by the other's name. I just turned 50. And so we should expect a certain amount of memory loss. I guess we should become concerned when memory loss begins to really interfere with daily functioning. Bills don't get paid, or you know, things are being lost to the extent that you can't function.
Is there a way to avoid or retard memory loss?
Well, one of the hottest areas in geriatric medicine, the first thing you should do is that if you feel like you're having memory loss, or a spouse or a loved one reports that, you should get an evaluation by your physician, because there are many reversible causes of memory loss that are missed. Thyroid disease, for example. Medications, and we're all over-medicated as a society in America.
That's my next point.
Is a notorious provocateur of reversible memory loss. As far as studies and medications and treatments that might prevent memory loss, a large body of research is involved in this area. Clearly, one of the things that maintains not only physical and mental functioning is maintaining a strong social network. Friends and substantive interactions. The most successful older people I see, Judith, are actively engaged in life.
And it's a shame, because we don't provide a lot of opportunities in this country to maintain social networking.
I think that's right.
With as you call, older adults. People today live far away from their families. They live in, you know, maybe very small apartments. Maybe they can't walk to the community center anymore. Some people say, I had a gentleman on who was the food bank. They deliver meals. He said that sometimes when that was the only contact of anybody had all day long with another human being.
Well, that's exactly right. And the way that older adults are often treated in our society is, as you pointed off, often written off, that their opinions don't count. And as we get older, particularly after we retire, or we lose friends and family, or we live far from our adult children, our social network tends to shrink. And a shrinking social network is not only associated with loneliness and depression, but with a variety of other medical problems.
We have baby boomers now, Dr. Lachs. What is it? I mean, I forgot how many baby boomers cross over 65 a day now, you know, and the fastest growing demography, so I'm told, is the 85 or over 80. Is that correct?
That's right. Okay.
So we're talking about these things, but folks, doctors like you, are not plentiful. What is it that can be done to bring more awareness to? I mean, does it start with the medical schools, or does it start with the hospitals? Where does it start?
Well, we absolutely must. We must train a new cadre of, if not geriatricians, gero-friendly physicians. And I really wrote the book aimed at those two populations. If you're an older person who's got medical concerns, the book is for you. But if you're a boomer, I wrote the book with that person in mind. Because they may be worried about an adult parent. Right. And secondly, Judith, your parent can be a blueprint for what you will be like, good or bad, in 20 or 30 years if you follow or don't follow the advice in the book.
Yeah. I want to touch on this one issue, too, that you brought up while we have time, drugs. Also, many, not just older adults, many adults, period, take these prescriptions willy-nilly without any asking, why am I taking them? Is this drug that has this name? I think you even use it, in your topic, you use the name of some of a diuretic that could be called Bliss or that. They have no idea how the different drugs interact with each other. It's almost like people get this blueprint for their medicine, and they don't ask one. They ask less about that than they do the menu of where they're going to a restaurant for dinner.
Well, and I think there are many people responsible for this. Certainly physicians, certainly the the pharmaceutical industry, which has aggressively marketed their medications.
Your book up, Treat Me Not My Age. Go ahead.
But Judith, patients as well. This morning in the practice, I spent a half an hour trying to talk a patient out of a medication they saw advertised on television last night. Now, I could have spent that time examining them, going over their health history, but the fact is that often I spend a lot of time trying to convince people that something they saw advertised is not what they need. We geriatricians have a name for a patient on too many medications. We call it polypharmacy. And again, in the book, I describe how you might determine with your physician if you're taking too many medications. Well,
I have a term too for it. Some of the stories I've heard. It's called becoming a zombie.
Well, it can be, sure.
Right. I mean, I remember I took my mother-in-law, who at the time had breast cancer, to a new specialist, and he said, "Bring me every drug." And I did. It was a shopping bag. It was a neurologist. Do you know he took the shopping bag from my hand? He took the entire shopping bag and threw it in the garbage can. He said, "Now take her home and report back to me in a week how she is." Because it was, God knows how many different things she took,
Well, in this...
and I don't mean to say that there's no place for drug therapy.
Right.
But certainly there is plenty of examples of overtreatment.
And the problem in this city, Judith, is where you have one guy who does your right thumb, another guy who treats your left thumb. All those guys prescribe.
Nobody talks to each other.
And you wind up on too many medications because Dr. A doesn't know that Dr. B prescribed this, that, or another drug.
Right. Well, it's refreshing to first off read somebody that even says, "Treat me, not my age." And listen, I'm sure you've seen in the practice too, there are plenty of younger people that are less functional, less nimble, less smart than somebody twice their age.
Again, you've seen one 50, 60, or 70-year-old. You've seen one 50, 60, or 70-year-old. 50 is the newborn nursery where I work, and 70 is the adolescent unit.
Right, exactly. I mean, it's not a rubber stamp.
That's right.
Okay. Thank you very much for being on the show. You are helping not just older folks, but you're helping their families. And all of us that wonder about, maybe we all suffer a little bit for not investigating enough our medical care.
Well, again, the book goes into great detail on how to do that for you or a loved one, Judith.
Treat me, not my age. Thanks for being on the show. I'm Judith West, getting your money's worth. Thanks for watching.